This episode of Sports Caffeine is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code SC2020. Your balls will thank you. And now, Sports Caffeine.
It's time to wake up, recover from last night's mess, and get your fix of Sports Caffeine. It's time to kickstart your day with the latest sports news and opinions. Get ready. Sports Caffeine is live in 3, 2, 1.
The plate. Last hope for the Astros. And on the first pitch, in the air, right field. That is playable. Coming in, Margot, and that's it. The Tampa Bay Rays have won the American League pennant. The Rays are going to the World Series.
That was the scene last night in San Diego as the Tampa Bay Rays are your American League champions, and we'll be moving on to the World Series in Arlington. Congrats to the Tampa Bay Rays on beating the cheaters, the Houston Astros, last night in another nail-biting game, but kudos all the way around for the Rays players. Charlie Morton pitching a fantastic game once. He pitched like a legend last night. Randy Arozarena hitting another bomb last night to get the Rays out into an early lead. This team is poised to do great things. And Chip, the Braves and the Dodgers have their own Game 7 tonight. I know you're a little nervous about that one.
Yeah, well, I think both teams, the Rays and the Braves, are set up really similar as far as pitching. They have young arms. Usually pitching overcomes good hitting, but the Braves have kind of let the Dodgers back in the back door, and we'll have to see if they can hold them off.
We shall see.
We shall see. Fingers crossed.
So welcome, everybody, to Sports Caffeine, our NFL pregame show for NFL Week 6. We are not at Rafferty's this week, of course, so we take a couple weeks off here and there. We like to give you guys a full interactive experience, but we will be back at Rafferty's probably in the next couple weeks, so make sure to go down to Rafferty's Bar and Grill, downtown Main Street. Need a text right there. Anyway, you can stream us on fanstreamsports.com and also the app, Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio and Google Play. Make sure to stream us on YouTube's Twitch, Facebook Live, and Periscope. So, guys, girls, NFL Week 6 got some really tough matchups to pick this week. We will go into those into a little bit, but first, Le'Veon Bell has finally found a new home. He's out of the dumpster fire as the New York Jets they are. He's now in the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. But first thing I wanted to bring up about Lev Bell is Lev Bell going to be a boom or a bust in Kansas City? Chip, I'm going to go to you first. Will he make
I think you can't really bust if you're on the Kansas City offense. I think he's going to have at least some sort of a role, maybe at least as a third down back. But, I don't think it's a huge impact to his numbers overall. And I know we got a lot of takes, so I'll just give you one take. So I don't think you can bust in the Kansas City offense.
Kaylee, do you think Lev Bell could be another Leonard Fournette situation? Leonard Fournette's down in Tampa. He hasn't really made an impact just yet on the team. He's been hurt a few weeks. Do you think Lev Bell is in that same category as Leonard Fournette, or is he going to be kind of prosperous in this Kansas City offense?
Yeah, no, he's not Leonard Fournette. And I told you that would happen with Leonard Fournette, so you're welcome to that advanced sneak peek at that situation. But Le'Veon Bell has been with the Jets in a system that was not designed for him. They didn't know how to use him. Adam Gase, first of all, said that his impact was irrelevant, which is a lot to say coming from him as a head coach. So I think the fact that Andy Reid saw something in him, he obviously has a plan. You look at his coaching, especially this year, I just think he doesn't do anything without it being intentional. And I think Le'Veon is part of that plan. And at this point, I mean, I think, especially with them losing last week, I think this is kind of the boost they need. And I think he's going to do great things. He's going to be back to what we thought he was before he went to the Jets. And, I think Adam Gase is a little off base as usual. So,
you
know what?
Yeah. Kristen, how much of a fantasy impact is Lev Bell going to have on Clyde Edwards-Helaire when it comes to touches?
Well, I think we're going to see a little bit more of those goal line. We saw Helaire, had some trouble breaking into the goal line. He's got some nice runs, gets him down the field, and then, he just can't find his way in. I don't think he's going to be a boom or a bust. I think he's going to be serviceable. I think he is going to be relevant, but not to the point where, on fantasy, the guy's getting you, double-digit numbers every game like Fournette has been doing when he's healthy. So, but in my perspective, though, I have to start Frank Gore today with some bye weeks and some injuries happening. So I'm kind of glad he's off the Jets, I guess. But like you said, with better coaching, Adam Gase doesn't know what to do with anybody on that team. Like he doesn't. I think he should be coaching a different sport clearly because he doesn't know anything about football. So I think with better coaching and better usage, you're going to see Lev Bell. I don't think he's going to be the Lev Bell of old by any means. I think he is a little bit washed up, but I think he will be in between a boom and a bust and just kind of a game manager at running back if he could play serviceable.
Here's a stat for you guys on Lev Bell. He hasn't been good in 3 years. He's garbage. He's irrelevant. Let's keep it moving.
All right then. Okay. Moving along, there was a couple facilities that closed early this week. The Patriots shut down for a little bit. I know the Falcons did shut down too as well. A lot came back as false positives. Now, are we going to see more and more of these false positives as the year goes on? I mean, this has kind of been almost comical when we see all these, tests initially are going positive and now they're going back to false positive. People are freaking out all over the place on social media. I mean, what does the league need to do to get everything under control and have these tests actually be 100% either positive or negative when it comes down to these COVID tests?
It's wild. Like, I'm not a doctor or scientist. Believe it or not, guys, I'm not. But
but you play one on TV.
I do. You would think we're very, very far into this pandemic. We're almost a year into it now, coming from China. You think the testing would be a little bit better now, and I think the NFL can afford the best test on the market. So I am just as baffled and confused, and it's really frustrating and annoying, especially for fantasy. Are we going to have a game? Who am I going to start? I had a bench Derrick Henry last week, even though he played. So
I actually love it.
I mean, a lot more strategy. A lot more strategy, but also, I mean, maybe just don't put out there. Maybe keep it quiet within your own clubhouse. Do they have to report these positives? I mean, I don't know. It's just getting really, really frustrating.
Sure
yeah,
I believe so. I think they do have to report these positives come out, even though they come back as false positives. So, Taylor, Kaylee, when it comes to these tests, Tristan just alluded to, what these teams need really to have a rock solid testing system in place. What do you think is going on with these tests that are coming back false positives, initially going to positive at first?
I'm gonna go back a little bit on what I've said kind of in the past and been critical of their testing thing and I think a lot of it, even though there have been some false positives, I think a lot of it is really preventative, and it's a lot of contact tracing. It's a lot of, we're going to shut down the full facility because someone tested positive, and now we need to figure out if anyone's at risk for testing positive and to mitigate the spread. It's not convenient, but I do think that is the best course of action, because at this point in the season where we've already had, we've seen the Titans cancel a game and move things around. I mean, the whole Chargers schedule is pretty much different at this point. So I think at this point, if you have to shut down for a day, which I think I want to say 6 or 7 teams did this week, but they're all playing today, right? So I would rather that be the situation than let's not shut down. Let's keep going. Let's host some offsite practices. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then now we have to cancel a game and ruin the entire schedule, because there's only so far you can back up the schedule. So I do think a lot of it is preventative more than it is just not having the testing. But I also think the trouble is that you can't really know, right? Like someone might test positive. We saw it with Nick Saban. He tested positive Wednesday. He coached yesterday, right? So it's not a false positive. It's just the timing wise when you're tested, when it shows up on the test, and who you've been around since in that incubation period before you tested positive. So I think at this point, I don't see a way that they can handle it better without having a whole Titans scenario over again. I'd rather them shut down for a day than
always better to err on the side of caution. I agree.
Yeah. Listen, I don't mind having football like more days out of the week. I'm okay with that.
Oh, I want Wednesday.
I want every game.
Friday,
every day.
like
Sure.
having that Tuesday night game was really, really nice to have. It was really fun. So I like it.
I feel like we've like had less Thursday games than we were like supposed to have, and like more off game. And we got a 5:00 Monday night game, which is great because I'll be at work.
That's fantastic, isn't it? I'm excited about that.
I love that.
I love the double Monday nights.
Chip, what are your thoughts on these tests that are coming back false positive when they are initially positive, and everybody's freaking out? You've got people that are, especially this impacts fantasy players as well. They have to adjust their lineups. They have to go hit the waiver wire. Like, what do you think? What do you make of this? I mean, we all kind of knew something like this was going to happen, but I don't think we knew to this degree.
I just want the season to finish. I mean, I know this past week when so many teams shut down facilities and like so many things happen, you creep on the side of doubt and you go, can they really do this? But the NFL has a lot of good people, a lot of good products. The tracer thing, they have a wristband that they're wearing that goes off if you're within a certain distance of players. So they work backwards from those bracelets and they can tell you who's been within a 3-foot radius of the player that was sick. And so, I mean, it really is top notch. So they shutting down facilities and like we've all said, erring on the side of caution is a good thing. I just want the NFL to finish the season. That's all I want. That's all I'm hoping for.
I'm curious why, because you think that if you're Falcons, you think they want to end the season right now and just be over with it?
No, I want to lose every game, get the first pick, trade down, and get a king's ransom for whoever's coming up for Trevor Lawrence. So, no, COVID, do not give the Falcons a break. Suck the whole year, and then let's rebuild and redo. Please.
Chip, I want you to propose that Twitter.
So you don't want Trevor Lawrence?
That Twitter question that you put out a couple days ago about which team would be beneficial for them to trade away their biggest piece. Like you had Atlanta trading to Matt Ryan to somebody else to get a king ransom for picks and all that. What do you?
They could probably get a 6th rounder for one.
Well, I think trading the Twitter. I think I posed which winless team would start to trade assets first. And I think, the Falcons, if we took away the salary cap hits and dead money and a lot of other things that play into it, yes, if I was the Falcons, I would be getting rid of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Those would be the 2 places that I would start to accrue picks. But some of the other teams, you have to find talent within those teams that people want. And obviously a lot of people, we saw Lev Bell that was released. They couldn't trade him. I don't know who else you could trade on the Jets, maybe Crowder. That might be one piece.
Darnold.
But yeah, they've been talked about. He's been injured. So we'll have to see. But I think the Falcons will probably, if they continue on their just putrid ways, they might start to look at trading maybe Alvin Mack or somebody like that. I think the Falcons will be first.
All right, they've got a semi-tough test today against Minnesota. So let's get into our picks for Week 6 for the NFL. Last week, for the first time in a very long time, Kaylee was not the loser, so she will not be doing a pick and punishments the next time we go to Rafferty's. Nick has like 4 punishments he needs to do, so he can accrue all those.
Absent lately with all these punishments.
He's traveling
conveniently
traveling. So
unless the Braves win today, then he'll automatically show.
He'll automatically show up. Exactly. All right, so let's get into our week matchup. Our first one is the Houston Texans coming off their first win against the Jacksonville Jaguars last week, and going into Tennessee Titans winning big over the Buffalo Bills last week. Who we got? Houston at Tennessee.
I think this is a trap game for Tennessee. I don't know. We talked about it on my show last week. Are they a fraud or for real? And I think you both said for real, but they're on short rest. I kind of think the Bills almost gave them that game as a sloppy game on the Bills' part, sloppy game by Josh Allen. It wasn't the Bills that we're used to seeing. And, now that Bill O'Brien's gone, the Texans have this little resurgence of life in them. So I think and the Texans have had the Titans number for the last couple of seasons. Deshaun Watson has beaten them quite a few times. So I'm going to take the Texans in this one. I think the Titans stumble and get their first loss. Yeah. It's only a 3.5 point spread too.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to go with the Texans this week. Like I said, I don't pick for the Titans, so it's not a surprise. But I do think the Bills put them in very generous field position through the entire game. We didn't really see Tannehill have to drive down the field in long yardage. So I think, the Texans are at that point where, the coach is gone, they're raring for a win, another one. And I think the Titans are in a place, it's a short week. They just came off a Bills game. I don't believe them a little bit. I think we do this every year where we're like, are the Titans, Super Bowl contenders, or they playoff contenders? They always are until they aren't, right? They always sneak in there and then they're exposed. I think this is just an early sign of that. I think we'll see the Texans take it, and the Titans, we'll have more questions.
All right, Taylor, Chip, who we got?
I'm going Titans for sure in this game. I think they're going to destroy them. Here's the stat for you guys: Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, I know Kaylee's not a believer in him, but he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks ever. He is 11-3, and they score over 30 points a game, and that is the only time the Titans Oilers have done that since they became a team. So
dropping the Oilers in there.
Yeah, well, that's a stat for you. So that's meaning they're the best team they've ever been, and so under 10.
We had Houston Texans, Houston Oilers. It's like the all Houston game.
It is.
I think. Taylor, that's a great stat, and Ryan Tannehill gets no respect, dude. This guy just really doesn't, and he always puts it together. Him and Jonnu Smith now have really formed a good chemistry. Brown was hurt. He came back last week, had a decent game. I think that emotionally, the Titans were definitely riding a high cloud, and I think maybe they come out and they're a little slow, but I think they find themselves, and I think they pull it together, and I do think the Titans win this one.
All right, so it looks like all the guys are taking the Titans, and the girls are taking the Houston Texans this week, depending on, of course.
Men, so
not that Thursday night game.
We've heard that before.
Yeah, not that Thursday night game. Let's settle down, Kristen. Settle down. Pump the brakes there. All right, next game we got the Cincinnati Bengals going into Indianapolis. Both teams coming off of losses last week. A little chatter going on in Indianapolis about possibly Philip Rivers getting benched for Jacoby Brissett. Frank Wright really shot down those rumors, saying no, we're going with Phil. He's our guy. So who we got? Joe Burrow going into Indianapolis, or we got Philip Rivers leading the Colts away with the win today against the Cincinnati Bengals? Chip, who we got?
Man, I got to tell you, Indy's missing their best defensive player. And I looked at this. They're still missing Leonard. And I kind of feel Justin Houston is also questionable. I think he's going to play. I'm going to stick with Indy because they should be able to run the ball. And Taylor should have a great game. Just don't put it in Philip Rivers' hands. Don't let him do anything he is the weak link on the offense. He is the guy. So just don't hand it off and just let the rushing game take you to a victory here. Don't get cute, okay? Just let Indy do that. But I could see Cincinnati putting up some points. It'll be a good game, I think.
Taylor, does Joe Burrow get his second win today against Indianapolis, or do they falter yet again?
They definitely don't. I'm definitely going with Colts minus 7.5 today for good reason. Philip Rivers, like you mentioned, does have his lowest amount of touchdowns through 5 games in his career. And he is the weak link, and I do think if he does struggle during the first half today, I do think they bring in Brissett because I like Brissett, to be honest with you. But I just think they're just going to run it down their throats. The lines on both sides of the ball for Cincy is kind of their downfall, their O-line and their D-line, without Geno Atkins. So I think they're going to get pummeled. I think Indy's going to come back and put something big on them, and they're going to win by at least 7.5.
Is anybody picking the Bengals in this at all?
No, I thought.
All right, so well, let's move on. Nobody's picking the Bengals.
I'm not going to go Bengals. I'm just going to go Colts.
Yeah. All right, so Colts across the board. So, all right, next matchup we got Chip, your Atlanta Falcons, still winless, still 0-5, going into Minnesota. Minnesota Vikings without Dalvin Cook today, so Alexander Mattison will be taking the rock. Chip, Falcons, they pick up a first win today against Minnesota.
Down the house, go Minnesota! You can do it, yeah. Matt's a huge day.
Already tanking, not even for Trevor.
No, not for Trevor, but Madison, huge day, and Justin Jefferson quickly becoming a great receiver, blossoming in front of our eyes in Minnesota. So go Minnesota.
Going back to the game we just talked about, the Colts game, we've got a question from Melvin Wall. What is holding T.Y. Hilton back from playing well?
Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
Is the reason.
Yeah. I mean, they can't really move the ball in general. Their offense has been I mean, they've won games, but they've been underproductive in every area compared to what we expected going into the season. I think it's more of the overall offensive issues, play calling, and consistency than it is him. Obviously, his grandmother, I
mean,
so
it's one of these things that we talk about with all these older quarterbacks. Their arm strength is just shot, and you can tell with his arm strength is shot. And T.Y.'s he's a long ball catcher, and if you can't throw the ball past 20 yards, you're not going to get any catches. So, other besides a slant here and there, he's not going to get the ball. I mean, even wide receiver screens, just like I talk about with Matt Ryan, it takes like 7 years for that wide receiver screen to get out there. So.
We had another comment in the comments. Seamus Driscoll said the Bengals are going to upset the Colts.
Seamus, I feel you, dog. I see you. You're doing it.
I honestly don't. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I mean, Joe Burrow, a young guy coming out there, chip on the shoulder against, you said old arm strength losing quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not going to put it in my picks.
All right. Yeah. Kaylee, Kristen, Julio Jones is back this week for the Atlanta Falcons. Do Atlanta have any hope at all getting their first win this week against the Vikings?
Nope.
No, maybe.
No. Are you picking them, Kristen? Are you picking the Falcons?
No. I had to pick up Kirk Cousins with Dak going down, so I'm really hoping for a big game with Kirk Cousins, especially with Dalvin Cook being out. Maybe we'll see a lot of Justin Jefferson. Well, since the emergence of Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins realized he's going to throw to him, the Vikings have been a different team. So I think they were missing Stefanski a little bit too. He's been a big part of the organization, so they kind of have righted the ship. And I do like the Falcons tanking for somebody else to get Trevor. I do like thanks so someone else can get Trevor. I think that's your shoot.
The only thing I like in this game is over 52.5. Over 52.5 is what I'm betting today. I am picking the Falcons as well. Calvin Ridley's the only receiver to have for 100 yards. I'm taking the Vikings.
No, it's
sorry.
the over.
Taylor, I was just about to ask you what is the over on that matchup. So thank you.
52.5.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for putting that in there. Okay.
I think weird. Hold on, one thing. Weird player prop today. Irv Smith Jr. tight end behind Rudolph. I think scores a touchdown. Bold pick for a touchdown.
Big pick.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
The Denver Broncos are heading into England. Cam Newton is back from being cleared to play after he had suffered from COVID. Melvin Gordon is out with a illness. Strep throat and illness, even though he got busted for DUI early on this week. So maybe it was all the whiskey he drank or the weed he was smoking in his car for his strep throat. But the Denver Broncos travel into New England today. Broncos still now with Drew Lock in the quarterback position. Do the Patriots get a huge win against the Broncos today in New England?
A huge win?
Well, it's against Denver.
It's a win. It's like the least huge win.
Huge as in points. Huge as in points.
Yes, Patriots all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Are we all sticking Patriots?
All right, we're all going Patriots on this.
Yeah,
we're all going Patriots.
All right. One of the worst probably matchups this week is the NFC least matchup against the Washington football team versus the New York Giants. This could be a flip of the coin game for anybody on this panel. Who we got for this terrible matchup for the NFC least teams, the Washington football team or the New York Giants? Kaylee, I'm going to start with you since you're Danny Dimes or Danny Pesos homer.
I'm not a homer. All I said was I liked him preseason. That's it. I made one comment. Okay, no, I have the Washington football team. I just think when you look at these two teams, the only positive unit that's stepping on the field today is the Washington defense, and that's a stretch, right? But they are the best unit that's heading onto the field to play in this game. So if you think about just being able to win a game, squeak out a W, I have to go Washington. The Giants, sure. I mean, they put up points against the Cowboys in a game that was not really that great overall, but largely due to their kickers. So I don't necessarily want to bet on on them for anything. So I'm going to go Washington. I just think their defense can pull it out.
Kristen, who has a better day, Kyle Allen or Danny Dimes?
I don't know. I think this is going to be a sloppy game. Sometimes these games of these two terrible teams have to be really exciting, because it's like some guy fumbles it, they're going in for a stupid score, fumbles it right then, and it's going back the other way, like stuff like that. I'm going to go Kyle Allen. I am going to take the Washington football team as well. I just think that the Giants are just such a mess, and we see Saquon is literally the glue that holds that team together. And I think Washington, again, they have a little bit of turmoil at quarterback there. So Kyle Allen, but we may see some Alex Smith if he's bad, which it's but I'm going to take Washington on this one. I don't know.
Anybody got New York in this matchup?
Anybody?
I do.
I took New York just because they're home.
Okay.
That's exactly. This is I think this is the lowest over-under on the board at 42.5 today. And also, I think that Devontae Freeman actually has a decent game. Yeah. So I took the Giants because they were at home, pretty much.
That's all the only reason I took them. Yep.
All right, so it's the guys against the girls yet again. The girls are taking the Washington football team, and the guys are taking the New York football Giants.
We're right on. Good punishments together.
All right, the Baltimore Ravens travel into Philadelphia to God, I hate the Eagles so much. I fucking hate them so much.
We know.
I know. Anybody got the Eagles in this matchup, but we got Ravens all day.
Ravens all day.
Ravens, one of my locks of the week. Ravens minus 10. It was 7.5 earlier in the week, which you should have got your bets in for that, but definitely take it in. I bet mine down to 9.5, but definitely take.
Taylor, what's the over in this game?
The over, we're looking at.
I believe we
42?
got
47.5.
Yeah.
Okay, 47.5. I'll go over on that.
So one question: does Carson Wentz get hurt with one starter that he's played with since the beginning of the year? Every other offensive line position.
He is still leading the league in picks. He has 9 picks already, and no Philadelphia Eagle has ever led the league in picks. So let's keep that going. We're going to see a couple more today.
Chris, and I have a fantasy question for you. Do we start Miles Sanders today against the Baltimore Ravens defense?
Actually, start Miles Sanders every week because he is the highlight of that Eagles offense. And I'm saying,
what about Fulcrum?
Listen to this. I'm Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt, and Derrick Henry. Oh, I'm going to murder Allen, and it's going to be glorious.
Okay, tough match.
Start him every week.
A tough matchup this week, a divisional game. Kind of a tough one to pick for is the Cleveland Browns are facing the Pittsburgh Steelers today, and a really good matchup.
Don't talk to me about this.
I will let you go. Actually, you'll go before Kristen since it's her team. So, Kaylee, I will go to you first. The Cleveland Browns, who are surprisingly 4-1, are going to be traveling to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who we got in this matchup? Who do we got?
This is the hardest pick for me. I think I don't think Baker Mayfield's 100%. That's a little tough, but also you think about the run, and I think the Steelers have had trouble stopping the run. So it really is Cleveland's game if they can play Kareem Hunt and Dearness Johnson the way that they have been the past couple weeks. But I just have trouble. I know home field advantage doesn't mean a ton this year, but I have to go with the Steelers on this one.
Taylor, who we got?
We're definitely going Steelers. We did talk about this earlier. The way to beat the Steelers blitz all the time, and the way to beat the blitz is to run right at it. And obviously, the Eagles did that last week. They busted out that 80-yard run that Miles Sanders had, so on and so forth. But the problem is that they also blitz when they pass, and we also have Baker Mayfield, who is still Flaker Mayfield in my book, throwing 38% in the fourth quarter, and it's going to come down in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be close, but in the fourth quarter, he's not going to make the play, and the Steelers are going to get the dub.
All right.
But here's one thing: that every Browns game has hit the over so far this year, so keep that in mind as well.
All right, Chip, I'm leaving you before last because Chris teams.
I got to tell you, I think that Kaylee and Taylor bring up two really good stats. Obviously, fourth quarter games are going to be won, especially divisional rivalries are won in that quarter. I think that if you look at it now, Baker Mayfield is going to play. He has a chest injury where in his upper body, throwing, moving, getting around, if the Steelers get after him and take him down, get some sacks, that chest injury could be a problem for him throwing later in the game. So I'm going to use that as my excuse button to get out of taking Cleveland. I'll tell you right now, Kristen, I mean, I really do think
all morning
I really do think he's got the right touch for all the players on the offense. And I'm going to take the Steelers, but I'm pulling for the Browns today. I think they can do it. But I'm going to pick, regretfully, I'm going to take the Steelers.
Taylor is shaking his head violently.
Pull up betting on the Steelers, but pulling for the Browns. That makes 0 sense.
I'm not picking. I'm not betting.
He wants to bet with
Or whatever.
Picking.
So I'm watching this on our little Yahoo Pick'ems as we're speaking, watching America lean towards it was like 56 to 45, whatever before, and now it's 80% Steelers as we've been talking the last half hour.
Yes.
This is the Myles Garrett revenge game. We have not seen Myles Garrett since the last time they played the Steelers, and he beat Mason Rudolph with his helmet. So Myles Garrett is coming out the vengeance. He's second in the league with 6 sacks. He has tied for first with 3 forced fumbles. Like you said, the Browns are running it like crazy. So even if Baker is, a little banged up there, the Browns are running it like 70 times a game or something insane like that. Was the fancy scheme there? Although the Steelers are only allowing like about 64 rush yards per game. You got to stop Claypool. I think they will. I don't think anyone really realized Claypool was going to be the guy he was last week. It was his coming out game. So they're going to be aware of him now. It's going to be a good game, and I'm really, really nervous, but I can't take not the Browns. So
you are the lone wolf this week.
I know that's what they kept on talking about all week. They're like, yeah, this Browns Steelers rivalry, and then Steelers like the Browns need to win for this to actually be a rivalry.
Hey, we tied last year. So.
All right, our next matchup will be the Chicago Bears.
You guys win too,
the worst 4-1 team in the league, the Chicago Bears, are traveling into the surprisingly 3-2 Carolina Panthers today. Matt Rule has said Christian McCaffrey is maybe a couple weeks away from coming back. Mike Davis has really served well as their lead back for that offense. Who we got? The Bears versus Panthers today. Chip, I'll go with you first.
I have never been a believer really in the Carolina Panthers, and they just keep doing what they're doing. So I'm just going to take them and just let them do their thing. That's the safest thing I think I've decided to do. So
that's exactly my mindset.
Yeah,
I'm on it. If they prove it wrong, why go against them?
Yeah. So stick with them.
All right. So Taylor, you've got Panthers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was going to actually bet them today. They're favored today by a point, and I was going to bet them against the Bears, but you just never know with the Bears what's going to go on. I was going to go with the under on this game as well, but I just decided to stay away from it. But I'm a believer in Teddy Bridgewater finding a way to get it done, and I find they're going to find a way to win in the fourth quarter.
Kaylee, which Nick Foles is going to show up to today's game? The Nick Foles that is the winner, the Nick Foles that we always see tends to screw up everything?
Yeah, the latter probably. I think the magic pixie dust is starting to run out as it typically does on Nick Foles. But I also think, this offensive line has kept Teddy Bridgewater pretty much untouched over the past couple of weeks, which is really impressive. I don't know that he stays that way with that, Bears front. But I do think that the Panthers, it's hard to bet against them, right? I agree with Chip. Yeah. I think they're doing some crazy things we didn't. I mean, we all wrote them off in the first couple weeks, and I think now they're coming back. So I don't want to bet against them, but I think this is where we see Nick Foles be Nick Foles, and I think Teddy Bridgewater goes down with the sack, but I don't think Panthers give up this game. So
Robbie Anderson has certainly been a PPR machine for that Carolina Panthers, so he definitely made the right choice by leaving the New York Jets coming down to Carolina. So, Kristen, who we got in this matchup? We got Panthers, we got Bears.
Sorry, Bears. Yeah, Panthers all day. Matt Rule's proven he's a good NFL coach. Teddy Bridgewater, like I said, is my starting my quarterbacks last week were Dak Prescott and Philip Rivers. Now I have Kirk Cousins and Teddy Bridgewater. And that injury has changed things, but. Last week, Teddy's on track for about 4,500 yards this season. He doesn't make mistakes. He's pretty smart. He's not like the greatest quarterback out there, but he's good. And Nick Foles, I don't trust him. I don't know why. The guy won Super Bowl, and I'm still like, he sucks. I don't know what it is, why I hate Nick Foles so much. Personally. So, but yeah, I just can't.
He's better than Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I just can't believe it. And I'm not believing the Bears team until the Panthers do something to show us that we shouldn't bet them. I'm going to keep taking them.
All right, our last of the 1:00 games today, the Detroit Lions are headed into Jacksonville to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kaylee, I'm going to go to you last since it's your team. Chip, I'm going to start with you. The Jags are a little bit hurt on offense as well. The Lions are the Lions. Who do we got in the Lions-Jaguars game?
Every time I pick Jacksonville, they lose. So I'm not
I know. They won when I was the only one picking them. Stop picking Jacksonville.
Every time I pick them, they lose. So I think that, like we said, Jacksonville's a little bit banged up. Like we said, the Lions, Matt Stafford, tends to make wrong decisions. He'll throw some errant passes, and that'll come back and bite you. So I really don't like. This is another game that you're kind of looking at, and you're like, so I'm going to go with the Lions. I think Galladay has a big day today, and we'll see what else happens. But I'll take the Lions.
Kristen, fantasy-wise, does Gardner Minshew have a big day?
If I didn't have Aaron Rodgers, I'd be starting Minshew right now. I think he does better always at home in Jacksonville. They're just more comfortable there. I am taking the Jags today. I can't trust the Lions. And we talked about this, I think on my show, when did we talk about this? But Patricia could probably be on the hot seat as well.
That's actually a good thing you brought up. Kevin Fitzmaurice from JDF Sports has asked, do you guys think Matt Patricia could get fired if he loses this game?
Yes, and that's exactly what.
Yeah, with Dan Quinn. So, yeah, I mean, we're the smartest show out there. So you heard it here first. Dan Quinn was getting fired. So, yeah, Detroit might give him maybe another week or two, but I just don't. I kind of hope the Jags win this game so they can't.
That's exactly why I'm picking the Jags. I said I would never pick the Jags again, and I did pick them, and they kept losing, and I didn't pick them last week, and they lost. But I'm picking them today because I want Matt Patricia fired because he's terrible and because he's got a high voice. And I'm just done with them. I want Gardner Minshew, 235 yards needed to be the most passing yards for 6 games in Jags history. If he throws another 300 yards, he ties Mark Brunell for some random Jags stat. So I'm picking Jags just for Matt Patricia getting fired.
Kaylee, are you picking the Jags today?
I appreciate the support from everyone for your various reasons. But yes, I again am picking the Jaguars. I just think at this point, I mean, James Robinson's going to have a huge day. I mean, they really need to lean into him. DJ Chark, even if he does play, he's listed as questionable. He's not going to be 100%. He hasn't been 100%. Our defense is also banged up. So Gardner Minshew, I think will have a big day. James Robinson's going to have a big day. I'm going to hope that at home they can get it done against the Detroit Lions. But Matt Patricia, he's got so much there. I mean, it's not an overwhelmingly talented team, but DeAndre Swift is the guy who they haven't really been able to use that well. I just think he doesn't quite know what to do with that roster of players, and it's showing. So I think, the Jaguars sitting at 1-4, not overwhelmingly impressive this season. I think this is the game where they might can him following a loss.
I mean, you got old ass Adrian Peterson as the number 1 back for your team right now. So that just shows you something.
And you drafted DeAndre Swift.
Yes. All right. The first of the 4:00 games today. I don't know. This is.
Did you pick? Who did you pick, Evan? Am I lone wolf?
Oh, I actually no. I picked the Jaguars today, so I picked the Jags.
So today. I'm lone wolf Detroit Lions.
You are lone wolf today for the Lions.
We'll be sure to let Steve know.
Yeah, Steve will be happy you picked the Lions. All right, let's go to this trash bag of a game. The New York Jets going into Miami. I've got the Dolphins winning this game. The Jets are just if this is not the game that cans Adam Gase, I don't know what he must have dirty pictures on the Johnsons. So is anybody picking the Jets?
No, but I'm struggling now, like fantasy wise, because I'm like, do I play Devontae Parker or do I play Jameson Crowder? Because they're both like having really pretty
Parker.
Good.
Crowder had a big game last week.
The last
23 fantasy
I
points.
left on the bench with like 20 points. You're thinking Parker?
Parker has a touchdown every game.
Yeah, more than I'm trusting Joe Flacco. Is Joe Flacco starting again today?
Yes.
I think so.
Joe Flacco is starting today.
Is this going to be the emergence of like Joe Flacco's good again, and all of a sudden someone's going to?
Oh God,
he was not good last week.
He's good. He gets paid. He goes somewhere he sucks, and
No, he's not elite. No.
Yeah, I'm going.
But he won a Super Bowl. He's got to be elite. Come on now.
That playoff run was elite.
Yeah,
that was a great playoff run.
All right, the second 4:00 game, the Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers are headed into Ray J Stadium to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Tom Brady himself. He has clarified he knows between 3 and 4 downs are, so that's okay. So
that's good.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing today. So,
Cups in Tampa this year. You had Mahomes playing Brady. We got Rodgers playing Brady. I mean, the Tampa schedule. We're seeing some, Breeze, Matt Ryan, all the it's a great. But I'm excited for this one.
America has an overwhelmingly 78% picking the Packers today over the Buccaneers. Do you all agree with America, or are you guys picking the Buccaneers to win today against the Packers?
I think if Vita Vea was in, I might be a little bit more apt to go to because Green Bay's the teams they beat are 4-12 collectively. So it's not like they're really beating. They look good, but they're not really beating teams. So this is the best team they played so far. But I just can't go against Aaron Rodgers the season he's having right now. He had literally 0 receivers last week, and he's still, or 2 weeks ago, they got a bye last week. So I can't go against Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah, all the receivers are playing today for the Bucs, and Devontae Adams is back for the Packers. But this is my second lock of the week. Packers -1. Bet your life savings on that. That's definitely going to happen today. Packers are the only team in the league who are undefeated against the spread this year, who are the only one left who are undefeated this year. So bet your house, bet your kids, bet Kristen on it, and go Packers.
I wouldn't bet your kids. We don't want to promote that on our show.
No, definitely don't.
Kaylee and I bet our kids.
Let's not bet our kids. All right, Kaylee, who we got? Packers or Bucs?
Yeah, I don't think it's even complicated at all, to be honest with you. I'm going Packers. I think people are overthinking it because of the Brady, the Brady situation, but I don't think that. I mean, Green Bay looks like the best team in the league right now. They look elite they're running on all cylinders. Even without Devontae Adams, they looked incredible. So with him back, I can only imagine what they're going to look like. So I think the Packers have it.
So the thing to watch today is that the Packers offensive line is number 1 pass blocking wise, and the Bucs are number 1 pass rushing wise in the league. So that's something
fun
to watch.
That's fun line play.
Great matchup.
Number 1 in a lot of things. Very, very balanced offense.
Chip, who do you got? Packers or Bucs today?
I mean, we've talked about most of the points, obviously, with the Packers and how they look. I just think the secondary for Tampa is a young secondary. They're growing. They're continuing to work. And I just think that, the Packers are one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and they're getting back their best weapon, wide receiver today. So sticking with the Pack, but we'll see. I think this will be a good game. A lot of points will be scored. It'll be fun to watch.
All right, and our Sunday night game is the Rams. Oh, you guys weren't asking who else?
Wait, who's your pick, Evan?
Yeah, you said you were picking the Packers today. Last week, you said.
And you are exactly right. I actually am sticking with my pick. I'm going with the Packers beating the Bucs. So
there you go.
Wow.
I'm okay with that. I'm cool with it, man. Life is good for me right now. The Rays are going to the World Series. I'm okay with picking against the Bucs. And honestly, after each week with seeing them play, and I'll probably get crucified on Twitter about this, but I'm leaning towards that whole may not make the playoffs thing, honestly.
Crazy to think about. The games I want to watch today are Bucs, Packers, and Steelers, Browns. Those are the 2 games I want to watch today.
I just as the season goes on and the schedule is going to get harder and harder for them, and after the way they played against the Bears, really, like I just don't have any confidence in the secondary and the play calling and what it just seems like every game they look sort of lost. And when they're playing actual good, now this is when they're going to have a home stretch of good teams that they're going to be playing. Packers, you got the Chiefs coming up. It's like I'm nervous for this team beating any one of those guys. Like I don't think they're going to beat the Packers. I'll probably have to eat old crow if they beat the Packers today. But when they have to go against the Chiefs, that's a matchup that I don't think they're ready for yet. Because they've had those. I mean, they lost against the Saints.
The Chiefs play their level of competition, so
right
there you go. They might actually be able to squeak it out with that.
And the Bucs barely beat the Chargers, a Justin Herbert led Charger team. So it's like I really don't have any faith.
Going good, it's like this Joe Flacco led Chargers team or something. Justin Herbert's actually proving to be a little bit of a good quarterback.
Well, when you can light up the Buccaneers secondary with what he did as a rookie, then I really don't have any kind of faith with you going forward. So I'm picking the Packers this week. Whatever, Bucs fans, you can hate me all you want. I don't give a shit. So whatever.
Well, your second favorite team when you denounced the Bucs 2 years ago, the LA Rams.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's our Sunday night matchup. Listen, that was when Jameis was, whatever. All right, so the Sunday night matchups, we got the Rams, who are surprisingly good this year, going against the San Francisco 49ers. A pretty much hometown matchup with these two teams. 49ers are still banged up. Jimmy Garoppolo was pulled last week as well. Rams are looking good. Do we have the Rams beating the 49ers? Do we have a consensus, unanimous Rams beating the 49ers this week?
Rams.
Yes. Yes.
All right, Rams all the way. And we've got our two Monday night games, one starting at 5 o'clock. We got the Kansas City Chiefs going against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills coming, lost last week against the Tennessee Titans, and the Chiefs looked, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Who we got in this? Actually, I think this is going to be a good matchup between both of these teams. Who we got, Chiefs or the Bills?
I'm going to take the Chiefs. I mean, me personally, I want the Bills to win. I have Josh Allen, but I think this is going to be a game of continuity, and the schedule for this game is out of whack. And we all know that athletes they go into routines and they get things done on a weekly basis. And I think that when you get thrown for something like this, it kind of gets you unsettled and you're not due to your normal routine. So I'm going to take a Chiefs just based on being in pressure-filled situations, different spots, and they're just a little bit older team and been there, done that. So,
Kristen, who we got? Chiefs or Bills?
Yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs. I think they're going to bounce back, and I just always believe in Patrick Mahomes. I do think it's going to be a good game. I just think the Chiefs are the better of the two teams right now, but I think this could be something we see in the AFC Championship game.
All right.
Yeah, I'm definitely never picking against the Chiefs. The Chiefs last week, they just abandoned the run game a little bit too early against the Raiders. Even teams that win the Super Bowl still go 13-3. So, I'm going Chiefs.
All right, and Kaylee?
Yeah, agree. I think both of these teams, it's hard to see either of these teams losing 2 weeks in a row. So it's a little tough to pick, but I do think the Chiefs are just overall a better team.
All right. And our last matchup is the Arizona Cardinals going into Dallas into Jerry World to face, Andy Dalton. The Andy Dalton-led Dallas Cowboys in the Monday night matchup. Taylor, I'm going to go to you last. This is your team. Who do we got in the Arizona Cardinals versus Dallas Cowboys? Chip, who we got?
This is a tough one just due to the fact that, we're all harped on it. Andy Dalton's never had this many weapons. I think this will be Kyler Murray's, can't really be a coming out party. I think this is his first Monday night football game. I am going to take Arizona, but I feel that this will be a high scoring game. Arizona lost a good defensive player. I just think that it's going to take Andy Dalton 1 week to get everything
Chandler Jones.
And make it happen. So, yeah, Chandler Jones.
Kristen, who we got?
Yeah, I just trust Andy Dalton more. Like you said, he's got more weapons. If I told you a year ago, 2 years ago, Mike McCarthy, the Dallas Cowboys led by Andy Dalton, will be one more winning in. But you know what? Andy Dalton has been a good quarterback. He made the playoffs like a lot of years. It could be a lot worse for Dallas. So you're not having some guy you never heard of playing. You have Andy Dalton as your backup, which is probably the best signing that you've made in a really long time as a free agent. So I just trust Andy Dalton more. It's at home playing, Kyler Monday night in that big stadium. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a fantasy dream right now for everybody. Christian Kirk's projected 11 points, and he's the second or third receiver there. So, but I'm going to take your Cowboys, Taylor. I just think that they're going to get it done at home with Andy Dalton.
Kaylee, Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake seem to be battling out for the running back spot for the Arizona Cardinals. Who's going to be the lead back today, and who is your pick for the Cardinals-Cowboys game?
I'm going to go Chase Edmonds. I just really don't like the whole vibe Kenyon Drake gives me, to be honest with you. I think he's been a little cocky. I don't think his production has kind of, stood up with the expectations that he had going in there. But, yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys. I think it's a little disrespectful for everyone to be taking the Cardinals on the internet. I've been reading. I'm like, everyone's picking the Cardinals. I don't see why. I think when you have Andy Dalton, who's probably the best backup in the league at this point and could easily start on a handful of teams who have just terrible quarterback play, I think you look at this Cowboys team and they'll miss a step, but it won't be as dramatic as people think. So I don't trust the Cardinals at all.
All right. Taylor?
Yep, and obviously I'm going Cowboys, but one of the things is that Cowboys have the most turnovers in the league. So, and Andy Dalton is definitely turnover prone over his career, but I think a lot of our losses have to do with turning the ball over and not creating turnovers. So I haven't been high on Arizona before the season even started, and they've kind of proven me right in a lot of ways. They probably picked up one extra win than I thought they may have. But I think we're going to give Zeke a lot. You saw when Andy Dalton came into the game last week, he was chucking the ball down the field to Gallup, and he was having some fun out there. So I think we're obviously going to get the win. It is going to be high scoring, and it's going to be, we're going to win by, a field goal at the end like we did last week or something like that. But I think we're going to squeeze it out and take the victory. So,
Chip, it looks like you are the lone wolf. You are the only one taking the Arizona Cardinals this week.
And like I said before, I told you this. Andy Dalton, I think this is a 1 week 1-week deal. I think the amount of weapons the Cowboys have, and I think he'll get into the flow. This is a professional quarterback. This guy knows how to be a system. He knows how to come in and get you what you need. So I'm not saying that, Arizona's the greatest team in the world and they're going to crush them. No, I think this will come down to a field goal. And Arizona, Zane Gonzalez is going to be good. And I think the Cowboys might turn over once or twice. And I think that it'll be close, but I just think Arizona.
Did you say the kicker is going to be good? So I'm taking it.
Zane Gonzalez, dude. Yeah.
He's not going to take it from both. So I hope he is. Please.
He's gonna. He'll be the guy. He's gonna.
Chandler Jones has the most sacks in the NFL since 2017, and he is out for the season.
He's out.
So.
That's another, and I brought that up too. So we'll see.
Most sacks in the NFL. How about that?
All right. Before we get on out of here today, of course, the Sports Caffeine sponsored by Manscaped.com and also Dugout Mugs, where you can get the personalized baseball dugout mugs that we have on the show. Make sure to get one of those for the postseason for the Rays going to the World Series as well. Before we get on out of here, the season's in week 6. What has been your biggest surprise this season so far? What has been your whoa buddy? Chip, I'll go with you. What has been your whoa buddy this year?
I mean, surprise can be used as a negative connotation. That's what I'm going to use it as in the Falcons. I mean, whoa buddy. Holy shnikes. What happened? Fell off the truck and ran over the driver. I mean, that's kind of my whoa buddy is the Falcons. Haven't won a game yet. That's my whoa buddy.
I like that mantra that you had. Taylor, what's been your whoa buddy?
I mean, I could obviously go Cowboys, and we've been underperforming a little bit, obviously, but I'm going to go with Bears. I mean, I don't think the Bears are good, and even though they're 4-1, I still don't think they're good, but they're 4-1. So it's one of those things. I mean, you could go Browns or 4-1 as well. This is the most 4-win teams that the NFL has ever had. They have 10 4-win teams right now. So there's a lot of directions you could go, but I'm definitely going Bears. They are.
Kaylee, what has been your whoa buddy?
I'm going to use it negatively as well. The Colts are, big expectations going into the season, even being in the AFC South and not wanting them to do well. I expected a lot from them, and Phillip Rivers looks pretty bad, pretty sloppy. Their offense looks bad. Their defense looks bad. Their record's honestly better than their team, if I'm being honest. And the fact that we're even talking about Phillip Rivers getting benched for Jacoby Brissett is, it's honestly offensive. So I'm not pleased with what I'm seeing out of Indianapolis, to be honest with you.
Kristen, I'm assuming your whoa buddy is the Cleveland Browns being 4-1. Is that your whoa buddy?
Yeah, that's a great one. I'm going to go with the NFC least as the bad one. Like, is somebody going to get 3 wins in this division? Like, what are we going to see at the end of the year with this division? Like, I mean, it is so bad. It is like more abysmal than I thought it could possibly be. I thought, you thought the Giants maybe would have 4 or 5 wins. Saquon would do some stuff. The Cowboys are supposed to be a lot better, but I'm really intrigued to see what the final records of this division is going to be. So I'll say,
5.
5.
We'll be 7. We'll win with 7-9.
This year is insane. So yeah, the Browns obviously, but that's just obvious. So I got to go with something bad. The whoa buddy of the NFC least.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for our NFL Sunday show. Any last news and notes before we get on out of here, guys and girls?
Go Browns.
Go Cowboys.
All right, make sure to follow us at Twitter at Sports Caffeine 1, on Facebook at Sports Caffeine, and we're also streaming on FanStream Sports, Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Make sure to stream us on also Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. We will see you guys Tuesday morning at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, myself, Chip, and Kaylee, and then on the night show, the nightcap with Kristen, Taylor, and James, and probably another guest to debate Taylor as well. Are you guys going to stick to the Thursday nights, or are you guys going to move it to another night?
Whenever Kristen's free.
There you go.
This week it's like Wednesday might be a better day, so we might have to follow up Beauty and the Cleats. But I don't know. We'll have to
I can debate any day, whatever day, every day.
We'll figure that out. So for myself, Chip, Taylor, Kaylee, and Kristen, we will see you all later. It's been Sports Caffeine. Have a good day for NFL Week 6. We will see you on Tuesday.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Sports Caffeine, available for streaming on FanStreamSports.com and FanStream.